everybody, let's make some noise for Rónán.
I got sponsored by, I used to ride for a bike shop called Biking Dirty, and that was like my first kind of team, like first kind of.
And what age were you then?
I think I was like 14. It was pretty strict. Yeah, I got sponsored before I did a race actually. So yeah, they were like they helped me out just with like services and like discounts, which was still pretty amazing at that stage.
And Oisín, what about you?
Yeah, I think I was probably around 12 or 13 as well. Just when both of us started racing, that's when you kind of get the support.
So then, by that stage, you're kind of fairly young. What age was it when you started racing properly? Whereas, like, what was your first race abroad?
My first race abroad would have been one of the British national races, which back then anyone from Ireland would have been, if you'd done good there, it would have been time to take it to the next level. And thankfully, my dad was able to bring me over for quite a few of them, a few seasons. And I think my first one was when I was 13. Still quite young.
Ron?
Yeah, my first race abroad was actually a World Cup when I was like 16, I think, in juniors. And I had no business being there at all.
Did you qualify?
No, I did not qualify. Yeah, my first year in juniors was a bit of a ride. Yeah, but I was pretty much, I was like, I don't need it. I don't really need to go to small races to experience. I might as well try a World Cup. And yeah, I think my parents are still saying that was a bit of a waste of money at that stage.
And what's the difference? Like, what made you not qualify then? Like, is it just down to preparation or?
Yeah, I think it was, well, like, I'd go over to Oisín for like maybe two weeks a year, and that was the only racing I really did, or like riding abroad, and then I was back to joust and pushing up the hill. So it was, I think it was more just getting experience and actually knowing how to ride a bike properly compared to, and I think I just jumped into it too early and didn't know what I was at, so it was still a good crack, like banging around by yourself at a World Cup with a multi-tool, but I think when you look at the results list and then look at the bank account after it, you're just like, oh god.
So for the two of you, Oisín, what's the first race that you've kind of done that you've been surprised with your result? That you've been stood back and kind of looked at it and said, geez, you're happy with that, like?
Yeah, there was a few when I was younger, but the main one would probably be my first junior races at a World Cup or World Champs was my first one at being a junior, and I ended up winning it, which I don't think anyone really expected as a first year junior. And no one had really heard me too much, so I kind of came as a shock to a lot of people.
Ron?
Yeah, I say mine would be my first race in elites in 2021, and I got 22nd in qualifying, and I think the main goal for that year was actually just to qualify for a World Cup and then getting nearly the top 20, and nobody knew who I was at all because I never really raced, and I think that was definitely like, oh shit, I was like, oh sorry. I mean, I was like, oh wow, I actually made it into World Cup finals, and then to finish 29th in finals, it's pretty cool to make a top 30 in my first race, and then so I was like, oh, I could actually do this, which was pretty cool because I didn't think I would at all coming into the season, so it was a nice little surprise.
Okay, so Oisín, you mentioned there your 2020 season. We have a little video of that to have a look at here.
To be world champion, yeah, I like going fast on my bike. Just it's fun. It's hard to actually stop.
I just wanna break the rules.
I'm a first year junior and it was my first world champs. So I just wanted to do a good, solid, steady run. And I was just riding down and I was like, it's just like home.
2020 UPI World Champion from Ireland, Oisin.
So, Oisín, what was that like after winning World Champs?
Yeah, it was obviously a dream of mine, obviously looking up to people that I had raced in previous years, seeing that they were doing good as a junior, but none of them actually ever kind of winning a World Cup or winning World Champs that I was kind of comparing myself to. So to come in and win one straight off the block was a bit of a shock. And then to win the next 2 World Cups back to back after that, I don't think a lot of people were expecting me to go 3 wins in a row.
So what's it like? So you've won, let's say, like that first World Champs race, going into the next block of races. What changes from then? Like, does it just feel the same, or is it just so much more added pressure?
With it being my first year junior at the World Cup, so I was still learning the whole schedule. I'd never been at many World Cup races before, and which probably kind of made it easier, because if I knew the schedule and how everything ran, I would have been like, I would have think it would have been all new, or it would have been different, while everything was all new anyway, so it probably made it actually a bit easier.
And Rónán, by 2020, you were kind of in a bit of a different stage. You were kind of still under the radar at that stage. What was happening with your racing then?
Yeah, I did no racing at all in 2020, because if you weren't on a professional team, you weren't allowed to race, which I thought was a load of bollocks. But yeah, it was still a good crack sitting on the old Fiat tractor. But yeah, no, I thought kind of, because everybody said, oh, your junior years are extremely important and you won't do well in elites going into it. So when I missed that year, I was like, oh well, there goes the chances of being a professional mountain biker. But that was all. It was nice to.
So then it was the following year in 2021 that you kind of got back into racing World Cups in elite level, was it?
Yeah, that was my first actual year properly at World Cups, and then to pretty much qualify for all of them and then get one top 20 and a few top 30s was pretty cool, without expecting that.
Oisín, 2021, the year after your World Championship year, kind of bit of a disappointment by your standards, was it?
I'd say more than a disappointment. It didn't really expect...
Disappointment by everyone's standards.
Yeah, a big disappointment. It didn't play out the way I had hoped it had, and that was definitely not what I was expecting coming in wearing the rainbow jersey, being a junior world champion. I think a lot more people were kind of expecting more that year, and I was as well. But yeah, I managed to somehow make it through the year and on to the next one into elite last year.
Rónán, 2022, last year, kind of a breakthrough year for you. Podium in Snowshoe. What was that like to get onto your first podium?
Yeah, that was pretty, like the season was kind of a mixed bag up to that stage. I was a bit like either I was on it or I was on the ground. And then to come away with a podium, I was like, because I remember, I think it was in Andorra, I was like watching the elite podium and I was like, oh my god, imagine being up there and to actually be up there. And I think nobody thought I could do it after qualifying, like with qualifying 6th or 5th. I don't think anyone thought I was going to hold on to the bike, so it's pretty cool to be up there, and it's a bit of a dream come true, really.
So, Oisín, 2022 for you, Rónán, breakthrough year obviously. Bit unluckier for you with injury.
Yeah, it was first year elite. Obviously, you're in with a lot older people, a lot more competition, and it took a bit of getting used to again. It didn't go too bad at the start. I was happy with how everything was going, qualifying for all my elite World Cups, which is quite hard to do as a first year elite. And it was going good until about halfway through the season I got injured. I'd done my collarbone, AC joint, dislocated the wrist, and 3 bones in the wrist. But that actually almost felt like a relief, because it'd been 4 or 5 years since I got injured. It almost felt like a fresh start, and I was actually looking forward to the off season going into this winter after that injury.
What was it like? So you're injured, you're stuck at home on the couch watching Snowshoe World Cup, and you see Rónán on the podium. You guys are obviously like really close now. What's that like though? It has to give you a bit of extra hunger for it though.
It definitely gave me hunger, and being the first Irish mountain biker at the podium was obviously something to go absolutely wild for. And I was watching the splits at the time, because I don't know where I was, and I remember watching the splits and I seen Rónán coming down green, and I was like, this could be something impressive if he holds onto it. And yeah, he got to the bottom, and it was a big day for Irish mountain biking.
So we move on to 2023 then. Started out very solid for the 2 years, Rónán top 10, and Oisín getting some solid results as well. What was that like for you to start out the season with that, Rónán?
Yeah, pretty much like coming into this season, I'd like had one goal in mind, and that was to kind of be consistent, like take it as my job, because my first year getting actually paid. So I kind of put my head down over the winter, got a trainer, and didn't really mess about, and kind of like put in effort. So I wasn't really expecting anything less than top tens. So it was nice to come and deliver and be a bit more consistent. And then halfway through the season, I was like, okay, I'm sick of these top tens. I only want the podium.
So you've started with a new trainer from last year, and that's just made a huge difference going into this season, is it?
I'd say the trainer, and then also like the mindset. Like if I was going in, I'm like, I'm just here to have fun. I think like obviously still have fun, but also like I'm here to work and like put the work in. So it was like it definitely helped, and like actually training over the winter and not being stuck on a building site or college was a bit nice. So it was a good start.
Oisín, the year started out a bit weird for you after losing your shoe in qualifying for the first round, was it?
Yeah, there was a few mishaps at the start of the year with I lost a shoe in the first race in qualifying. I don't know how I actually ended up doing that. Almost qualified, so that I was actually quite happy that I was that close to qualifying with missing a shoe. Then went on to the next one, elite top 20, so I was happy with it. Almost been a year since I last raced the World Cup. It had been a while from injury, and then kind of injured my ankle at the next one. Nice break, and then we went on to World Champs, which I got 12th, so I was first top 15 elite. So I was slowly starting to work my way up into where I wanted to be. And then the next race after that was my first top 10 elite result. And then I done an 8th place, so another top 10 in the semi-finals in Ludenville. And then Ligier I actually didn't qualify. That was the yeah, I was sick that week. And then we went into the last block of racing, which I was pretty eager after not qualifying for Ligier to get some solid rest at home and then go into the last 2 American and Canada races and get some solid results to end the season at a high, and thankfully both of us done that.
So I think we all know how the season ended. Why don't we have a look at it here?
Swings left into the woods.
Now it's time to put your seat on, because this is
Everybody's just taking a step back from the side of the track. This will not be boring. This man loves this place. 4th last time out, a big breakthrough ride for him, and since then it's been an upward trajectory.
Even rocks are going to hold hands.
His good friend Chris Cumming qualifying for his first World Cup with a cheat on no doubt as well. Rónán Dunne.
This last split.
Good speed of 58.2 km on the sprint track.
Rónán Dunne roared home by the fans here in the States. Rónán Dunne down the line. Rónán Dunne goes down. Mark Cumming likes what he sees. Jumps off the back. Not quite 8 seconds. Faster for the Irishman.
Oisín, you're still up the top of the hill at this stage, waiting to race. Have you heard about Rónán's result by this stage?
No, when you're in the zone trying to warm up, focus on what you have to do, you're not really concentrating on what else is happening outside of what your next task is, which is to try and go down the hill as fast as possible. And no one really ever hears of what time or where someone finished, just in case. You don't want to be listening to what happened further down.
And Rónán, you crossed the line there, your 4th lap down the hill, and you went into the lead. What's that feel like? You're guaranteed a podium at this stage.
Yeah, it was pretty. I kind of said I was coming down in the hot seat, or I was going home in a helicopter. So I wasn't really taking any other way. But yeah, it kind of felt like a big weight off my back. Just finally got that podium again. And like after last season, I kind of definitely felt like, oh, there's a few people saying, no, I don't think he could do another podium. So it's definitely like kind of shut them up. So it's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty sick to be back on the podium, and yeah.
Rónán Dunne leads the way.
Oisín, you're about starting now? How nervous are you?
I actually wasn't too nervous. I was expecting myself to be more nervous. I was probably more nervous at other races knowing what happens if I don't qualify, or it could be close. Well, I knew I was on pace, so all I had to do was put down a good run, and I actually felt confident.
What a weekend for Irish downhill. Two of their youngest stars right up there in the mix.
Yeah, if this is green, this is going to be a race. Oh, he's going for it.
He's on the track. He's an idiot of the grip. It must be green.
I think you're going to have to do it.
That looked just about as fast as anyone has gone through there from Oisín callaghan.
That was fast at the top.
Oh, 9/10 of a second faster than Rónán Dunne split one.
It's game on.
Oisín callaghan putting on a show here. Second half for the second split.
That was really good through there. Yeah, it's looking good. He's staying out of those big holes, keeping that momentum going straight. Running was so fast down here. It'll be interesting to see. Good to see him take that little pedal stroke, though. That tells me he's willing to put in the work here.
Yeah,
and inside
there he is.
Even more there.
Yeah, let's go. Get on the gas, boy.
His dad, Chris, will be finding this one hard to watch. 1.6. That should make it a bit easier. Oisín callaghan on a run here in Snowshoe.
What a ride.
The YT mob honing in on the win, moving towards it, moving towards the hot seat. Oisín callaghan. Hold their breath. Ireland could be about to go 1-2 here in the States. Oisín callaghan, 4/10 of a second faster than Rónán Dunne. Ireland 1-2 in the United States of America.
Watching you look at that, Oisín, across the line and you're straight into the lead again.
Yeah, coming from not doing ever have an elite podium before, if I even came down, I knew in fourth, I was guaranteed an elite podium, so I would have been happy, but coming down into the lead was obviously the main goal. And when I came down, that's when my mind changed, and I was like, no, I actually want to win it. I'm not settling for a podium when I don't want to be second, I actually want to be first, so I was on the edge of my seat watching this next one because it was close.
How much sweeter was it to come down in the lead and knowing you beat Rónán as well?
It was more a bit of like joy or happiness, because when I crossed him, I seen he was there in the finish line, but I didn't know where he had finished until he pointed at the finish line screen where you see all the times, and I seen Irish flags 1-2. I was like, and we were actually joking about it earlier in the week, like, oh, no one would have ever imagined saying it if we actually done it, and we kind of proved with the qualifying and the semi-final speed that we could do something, but with how tight stuff is nowadays, obviously it's hard with it coming down to thousandths of a second, and somehow both of us laid down basically winning runs.
How nervous were the two of you watching Brownie's run here?
Again, skipping around. 0.2 of a second now back on the time of O'Callaghan.
I think he even hit it with a derailleur or something on.
Yeah, it almost looked like he hit with his fork.
Whoa.
That was scary.
Third split incoming. What is it going to tell us for how this one is going for Lloyd Bruni? He's in green!
Yeah.
He's in green!
He's
By
specialized bikes,
300ths of a second!
Yeah, I was just going to say, this is where that suspension, that all that fine-tuning him and his team put in, you can...
Bruni is down! Oisín O'Callaghan is going to win the UCI World Cup in Snowshoe, West Virginia. Lloyd Bruni, though, up and moving.
Oh man, hoping he's okay after that one. I was just going to say, this is where it seems like his setup and all that work and his team put in really pays off. That
What's going through your mind now, Oisín?
I actually didn't, I think the reason for my face is I actually didn't really fully see the crash. I just seen he was on the ground. So I actually didn't know what happened, and Rónán grabbed a hold of me and almost threw me over the fence. And I was just a bit shocked. Like, obviously, watching it coming down, I was going to be close and I was watching closely, but I just didn't see what happened, and that's what took me by surprise.
Did he say on too when he crossed the line, Lloyd Bruni?
Yeah, we waited until he crossed the line to celebrate fully, and then we went over to him and congratulated the two of us. But at this stage, he was pretty close for the overall title, so I think he was pretty annoyed that it's going to come down to the last race when he could have secured it here, so I don't think he was too happy.
So the two of you are at the finish in 1-2, but at what stage during the week or during the day did you realise we could be on for a really good result here? Or did either of you expect to be that high up? Like?
After the qualifying, when both of us done good results and we were on good speed, we were riding together all practice and everything was going really well. We knew it could have been a good weekend, and then going even better in semi-finals, we were like, oh, double Irish podium, and then one up that again by going 1-2. You can't get any better.
So the two of you went into the last round of the season in Mont Saint Anne, and all the attention was on you. How much of the pressure did you actually feel?
At that stage I was just kind of looking to seal off the season with another solid result, maybe a top 10, or if it was possible, possibly another podium. And I was feeling good all weekend on track, but that was actually my first time being in Mont Saint Anne. And a lot of other people, like Bernard Carr, another racer, said it's his 14th time. And so there was definitely a lot of learning for me to do that weekend, following some other guys to get me up to speed, and Rónán helped with that. And it was another solid weekend, almost a top 10, so I was happy.
Rónán, we're watching your GoPro here now. Do you know you're on a good run at this stage?
Well, if I'm still on my bike, I'd say it's still a good run, to be fair. But yeah, I kind of, like, coming from semis, I knew it would go quicker, and semis went well, so I was like, right, time to show the baguettes how it's done. So that was kind of the main goal. But yeah, no, I just enjoyed this track, and there wasn't really any sections I didn't dislike, so I was kind of pretty confident and happy coming into every part of it. And yeah.
So, you obviously came down here and into the hot seat, then Oisín bet you.
Yeah.
How does that feel? I know you're probably saying you're going to be, oh yeah, I was happy for him, but
I would have been happy. Yeah, next time I won't invite him back to the house. He's not allowed to ride my track anymore. He can stick to the bog. No, it was, if anyone was going to beat me, I'd rather be him than Bruni or another one of those Frenchies, because nobody else wants to see them. We've seen them win enough, so it's nice to, and it's cool for the sport, I think, to have a new winner every different race. I thought it was pretty sick for that to happen. So yeah.
And then going on to the next round, I think you ended it in true Rónán style, crashing out, but when you did crash, you were going quick.
Yeah, I was like, coming into the week, I said I wasn't going to settle for anything under the podium, because I was happy with my overall coming to that stage. I've sorted all contracts for next season, so I only needed something just for myself. And yeah, like, I liked the track and qualifying. I was happy the way I was riding with like P4 in a few of the splits, and then obviously a crash. And then yeah, finals, I was like, right, we'll put her down, and I think I was second in the first splits, and then obviously until I wasn't. But nah, I was happy. I'd rather do that than do a result I wasn't happy with, so yeah, she did the job.
So Rónán, obviously you've ended the year and it's just been such a solid year, so what are your goals for next year?
Yeah, I think coming into next season it'd be great to try coming 12th in the overall this season. I'd say it'd be nice to try get a top 5 or top 10 overall. Really would be just a solid top 10 overall, and then hopefully just be consistent top 10 podiums. That'd be the main goal, but also yeah, pretty much podiums.
Oisín, yourself?
Yeah, slowly just start being a more consistent top 10 rider every weekend, and hopefully be on the podium more and more, and the odd race win.
So you are now full-time athletes and you're riding bikes for a living. What do you think you'd be doing if you weren't riding bikes?
Probably if I never got into mountain bikes, I probably would have been driving tractors.
Yeah, pretty much funny one, because when I I think I remember when I didn't qualify for a race, my mum actually signed me up for the army. So I'd actually probably be in the army right now, because it was only since Snowshoe last year then I declined, or I just never showed up to the barracks. So either they're still waiting for me to come over, or yeah, but probably driving tractors or in the army.
So, you've obviously a wealth of experience by now. What advice would you give to your 14 or 50-year-old self?
I think don't really listen to anyone, because I remember in school I used to get slagging for riding bikes and stuff, and now I make more money than them, so I'll be like, yeah, fuck it. Yeah, I'd say pretty much, like, it is possible. Like, I never thought it'd be possible to be making this as a job, and here I am. So yeah, obviously stick with it and put your effort into it, and yeah, you should make it work.
Oisín?
Probably just having fun is the main thing, which is, I think, two of us do pretty well when we're at race weekends, just riding together and taking stuff seriously, but again, not looking into stuff too much and just having a good time.
So, we're going to do a Q&A now with everyone here, so if anyone wants any questions to be answered, ask them now. You can say your name and then your question, okay?
I'm John the Man, and what was your favourite racetrack?
Probably just because I won on the racetrack, either a Snowshoe or a callaghan.
Probably the J, because the crowd is the best there, and then yeah, I'd say callaghan. That's probably what got one of the sickest natural sections.
Why do you like tractors?
Because if I don't drive it, my dad will bake me.
I just reckon we're just two country boys that we were around them growing up, so grass, silage.
What was Oisín O'Callaghan's first bike?
My first bike, I don't know, I've had too many to think back. There's been a lot over the years. Probably just a balance bike that I got when I was a little kid.
How stressed were you on the downhill racing?
Not too stressed. I was actually more stressed on weekends that I knew if I didn't have the speed, like in callaghan at the start of the year when I hadn't raced in almost a year. I knew if I wasn't on pace I could be in trouble for the rest of the season, while in Snowshoe I knew I was on pace for a good result, so all I had to do was put a good run down.
Do you like biking?
Love it.
What's your favourite tractor?
I have a Fen Trio 3, so she goes well, and I'd have to stick by that one. But also Feed Agri, the old, I think it was 98 model. That does the job as well.
Oisín?
I will be a fan of probably a Fen 724.
What's your favourite dinner?
These questions are getting out of control. Probably where we're going to go next, we're actually going for a nice steak dinner.
What's your favourite colour?
Yeah, that's good.
Probably spuds and gravy. That's good.
Anyone else, any biking related questions?
Why did you start? Why did you start cycling in the first place?
Because it was a deadly crack, and I was terrible at any other sports. Yeah, and I just love riding the bike.
Who would you like beating the most?
Obviously a lot of people like beating the Frenchies. I don't know. I'm not going to say why we like beating the Frenchies. I think they've won a lot of World Cup over the last few years, and I think it's time to take the domination over.
I just like beating the English riders, to be fair.
Do you have any tips for beginners?
Just to go out, and if you go out once every weekend, up in the trails or even after school, just going around the house practicing basic stuff like practicing just standing still on the bike without putting your feet down, just basic skills that you can put into practice on the trails.
What would be your favourite mountain to go to except for the Ballyhouras?
Probably the French Alps.
What was it again? What's your favourite thing to do?
Probably go hunting or yeah, tractors. It's getting feed. Silage season. That's great crack. I love that.
Right, I think, is that all we have time for?
You won. Oisín, I want to know, have you replaced all the flowers at home for your mother and father that you put your small bicycle when I was here 15, 16 years ago?
Well, my mum only just came back, but there could have been a lot of the garden ripped up earlier with Ron on the motocross bike, which I had to control him a little bit. He was going a bit wild on the motocross bike outside the front, but...
Well done. Well done, Oisín.
What would be the best bike to recommend for under 1,200 quid?
YT Primus, it's the kids bike, but I don't think they're getting it for under 100 quid.
Okay, so we've one last question. What are your plans for the off season?
So for the moment, we're just coming back, we're going to usually take just a kind of a month of a break, just relaxing. We still, like today, out on bikes, motorbikes, and just no gym stuff for the time being, and then come mid-November on, in the gym until basically race season, and then we're going to probably go to Australia and New Zealand for a little while.
Ronan, your plans, when are you actually going to start back training now?
So I'm switching up for going into next season, so with a few new things, and then pretty much starting in 10 days. I have my first team camp, and then we'll be pretty much getting to work from then on. Yeah, it takes a lot to beat the Frenchies or the English, so we have to put the work in.
Okay. Oisín, Ronan, thanks very much.
Cheers. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
We're going to have an autograph session with the two lads here, so we're going to have to make a queue over towards the table here, and Ronan Oisín will be signing.